We are about to embark on an incredibly exciting end to the 2021 road season. In just 2 weeks' time, we've got the women's and the men's Paris-Roubaix, but before that, it's the UCI Road World Championships taking place in Flanders.
And what better venue could there be for what's the 100th anniversary of the World Championships, the heartland of cycling, Belgium.
It is going to be quite the party week out in Belgium, I'd imagine, particularly as there will be no restrictions on fans around the races, which hasn't happened in the Flanders races since February of last year. So you'd imagine those fans are going to turn out in force.
Yeah, it's a party week, which is also why Dan Lloyd is going to be going out there.
I am.
As well.
Yes, two-party.
Yeah, right. Coming up in this video, though, we will be talking through the schedule of events, the courses, and the favourites taking part. And with a total of 11 races over the next week, we had actually better crack on.
We had better crack on. So let's start by getting some dates in your diaries. There has been a bit of a shuffle this year with the order of the races, and we have the junior and under-23 categories returning after they were absent last year due to COVID and a last-minute change of venue.
Now that reshuffle means that we start with the men's elite time trial tomorrow. After that, the races then come thick and fast. On Monday, it's the under-23 men's and elite women's individual time trials. Tuesday, it's the junior women's and men's individual time trials, and then the mixed relay time trial on Wednesday.
On Thursday, we all get a rest day, but then it's full on Friday, Saturday and Sunday before we chill on Monday. Craig David reference for you there. It's the road races on those 3 days, with the men's junior and under-23s on Friday, the junior and elite women's on Saturday, and then the elite men are on Sunday the 26th of September.
Now, before we move on, we want to let you know that we have live coverage of all of those races on GCN+. There are territory restrictions. That live coverage will be available throughout Europe, except for France, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Italy and Belgium.
Yeah, apologies for those restrictions, but the World Championships is quite a highly sought-after event for broadcasters worldwide. Anyway, for those of you who can watch on GCN+, we would love to have your company. And for the elite road races next weekend, there will also be a live pre- and post-race show with some very special guests.
Right. Shall we get on to the courses?
Let's do it.
Right, so starting with the time trials, which all start in Nokke Heist, which is on the northern coast of Belgium. They all finish in Bruges, which for many years hosted the start of the Ronde van Vlaanderen, but they do vary in distance.
They do. So the junior women's is the shortest at just 19.3 kilometres. They basically go directly from the start line to the finish line. The junior men's takes a slight deviation to give them 22 kilometres. The under-23 men and elite women both battle it out on a 30.3k course, whilst the elite men tackle 43.3 kilometres, and then the mixed relay on Wednesday, slightly longer, at 44.5.
Meanwhile, the hub of the road races is Leuven, a beautiful town which I can thoroughly recommend visiting if you ever get the chance.
Which I will be doing, as Si mentioned before, and I'm very excited about it too.
Yeah, you will be. You'll be there. Good pubs in Leuven?
Amazing pubs in and around Leuven and Belgium, to be honest.
Funny that, yeah. Anyway, the finish laps of all the road races are around Leuven. That lap is 15 kilometres long with 4 climbs per lap.
As this is Flanders, those climbs are by no means long, but they are punchy, some of them cobbled. And I guess it's the repetition of them, as well as the twisty nature of that circuit, that will make it both arduous and probably quite attritional.
Now, the climbs on that lap are not the famous bergs of Belgium. There is no Quermont or Paterberg here, but some of them do feature in other races, such as Brabantse Pijl. So hardcore racing fans out there, you will no doubt recognise them.
You will. The junior races take place entirely on that short circuit around Leuven, with the junior men tackling 8 laps for 120 k's and the junior women on 5 laps and 75 kilometres. The other races, including the U23 men, start a little further north in Antwerp. They head down towards Leuven, and to make things even more complicated, organisers have thrown in another longer lap to those races.
Yeah, and you might have to listen carefully to this because it is quite complicated. The under-23 men and elite women head down to Leuven from Antwerp, take on 1.5 of the small laps, then 1 of the larger laps called the Flandrian circuit, which includes a further 6 climbs, before heading back into town to complete 2.5 smaller laps before the finish. Those races will be just under 160 kilometres in length.
Meanwhile, the elite men's race, which is 268 kilometres, is even more complicated. They head from the start in Antwerp towards Leuven, take on 1.5 short laps, then 1 Flandrian circuit, then 4 short laps, then 1 Flandrian circuit, then finally 2.5 short laps for a total of 48 climbs. Got it?
No.
Neither have I. But I guess the good news is that the nature of those complicated courses shouldn't affect the excitement of the races and therefore our enjoyment of them.
Unless the organisers have confused themselves and send the riders on the wrong lap at the wrong time.
Oh man, can you imagine that?
That would be
Actually, no, I don't even want to imagine that. That would be absolutely awful. Right, so now that we've explained the courses, as clearly as we possibly can at least, let's move on to the riders themselves.
Starting with the first event, the men's individual time trial. Remember, last year it was won by Filippo Ganna, and given the flat nature of the course this year, he's going to start as favourite, despite being beaten by Stefan Kung at the recent European Champs.
Yeah. Will he start as favourite? I mean, Kung will be a big favourite and full of confidence after that ride, won't he? The riders who finished 3rd and 4th that day at the European Championships, Remco Evenepoel and Stefan Bissegger, will also fancy their chances. And Evenepoel in particular, I think, will be desperate to take his first rainbow bands in the elite category on home soil. As
will Wout van Aert, who's in exceptional form at the minute.
You've got to ask when he's not in exceptional form, really.
That is true. Yeah, I suppose there was a period where he crashed out of the 2019 Tour de France, where obviously he couldn't ride, so he
yes.
probably wasn't in great form then.
No, he wasn't in great form at that point.
But yeah, his 4 wins from 8 stages of the recent Tour of Britain and the overall title speak for themselves, doesn't it? As the fact that of the last 9 time trials he's finished, 6th was his worst result, and he's won 5 of them.
Yeah. That's not a bad hit rate
in
time trials for Wout van Aert, is it? No. I'll tell you what, I'd love to see Wout van Aert win the World Time Trial Championships because, well, he's never won a major title on the road despite all of his major successes, if you discount the national championships. And I reckon that he would do the rainbow stripes proud in the time trial discipline.
No doubt about that. Rowan Dennis, always a factor against the clock, and you can never count him out. It's hard to gauge his form because he was on helper duty at the recent Tour of Britain, but he played a large part in the team time trial win that week.
He did, yes, but not sure where he's at. We'll see on Sunday, of course. Casper Asgreen will start as a strong outside bet, and on his day, Remy Cavagna of France could threaten the final podium too. Pogacar will also start, although hasn't shown his best form since taking a break after the Olympics, and his Slovenian teammate Primož Roglic is going to be absent from the time trial.
That is weird, isn't it? Do we know why?
Yeah, he's getting married, apparently.
Oh, well, that is fair enough.
Decent excuse.
Yeah, okay.
Although I was thinking does that mean he's going to miss a lot of time trial championships because of his anniversary?
Well, good point. Bad planning, really. Should have waited a couple of weeks.
That, hasn't he?
Yeah. Another rider, unfortunately not taking part, is Tom Dumoulin, who had to call his season to a halt after being hit by a car in training. Now, in the women's, we have to start with the Dutch, don't we? As ever, they field a strong lineup, even though it doesn't include the reigning champion, Anna van der Breggen, due to a recent lack of form.
Yeah, real shame that. She hasn't been on great form, but of course she did the double last year. It's a shame to see her absent from the time trial. Although it is a testament to the strength in depth of the Dutch squad, they will still go in as favourites even without her. Annemiek van Vleuten and Ellen van Dijk are the confirmed starters as we record this, both with a long and quite enviable list of top results against the clock.
Yeah, the biggest threat to Dutch dominance will probably be Marlon Russo, who has been on an incredible run of form recently. 2nd at the Olympics and the time trial stage of the Vuelta Ceretisit Challenge to Van Vleuten, and winner of the recent European Time Trial Championships in Trento, Italy, where she beat Van Dijk to the crown.
She did. She's quite strong at the moment,
She is quite strong, isn't she? Yeah.
Maybe actually even strong enough to start as the pre-race favourite. Not seen the odds yet, but I wouldn't be surprised at that. Lisa Brenner of Germany was the bronze medal winner that day at the European Championships and is a former world champion in this discipline from 2014. I can't see her winning gold, personally, but on a good day, she could well get a medal, as could America's Amber Neben, who is riding strong at the age of 46. In fact, she was only 11 seconds off the bronze medal at the recent Olympic Games and represents the USA's best hope of the race this year, with Chloe Dygert still not fully recovered from that injury she sustained, should I say, at the World Championships last year. Anna Kiesenhofer might well be racing the time trial too for Austria. If she does, watch out for her, the Olympic road race champion.
Absolutely, yeah. If you would like an outside bet, though, look no further than Joss Loudon. She's going to be taking on the world hour record in the next few weeks, a record she's already unofficially beaten in training. So you imagine she'll be in almost peak form for the World Championships.
So, yeah. riding for Team GB, of course. It's likely to be a similar story in the elite women's road race in terms of the fact that the Dutch will be the team to beat. So along with Van Vleuten and Van Dijk, there will also be Van der Breggen, who is doing the road race, and Marianne Vos, who will be hoping to take the title for the first time in 8 years.
Yeah, throw in Demi Vollering and you have another potential winner. Plus, the big difference over the Olympics is that they're going to be able to field a much bigger team, which means there will be some riders whose only aim is to help someone else win, hopefully avoid the situation they ended up in at the Olympics.
As opposed to the 4 team leaders all going for the win at the Olympics. Italy have got a few cards to play as well. I guess Elisa Longo Borghini is the big star from that team, but they've also got Bastianelli, Cavalli and Balsamo potentially. Haven't seen the full start list as we record this. Great Britain would normally look towards Lizzie Deignan, but she's never quite managed to get to the top of her game so far this year, so I think they might well give Anna Henderson and Pfeiffer Georgie a free roll in the race.
The USA have a decent outside chance, don't they? They'll be led by Ruth Winder, who won Brabantse Pijl this year on a similar parcours, as well as Leah Thomas, recent winner of the Tour de l'Ardèche, and Corinne Rivera.
Yeah, that's a strong team, actually, isn't it? Spain, you'd have thought, will look to Mavi Garcia, whilst Emma Norsgaard and Cicely Uttrup Ludwig represent the best hopes for Norway and Denmark, respectively. Grace Brown could well be in the thick of the action for Australia, and I wouldn't be at all surprised to see her pick up a medal at the road race, whilst Ashley Moolman-Pasio hoped to give South Africa something to cheer about.
And what about the home nation then? Look no further than Lotta Kapecchi, one of the standout riders of this season, on home soil and on a course which suits her down to the ground. There's going to be a lot of pressure on her shoulders, no doubt, and she'll just hope that she doesn't experience any of the bad luck, which does seem to have plagued her this season.
Yeah, she has had a lot of bad luck this year. I hope it does go her way at the Home World Championships. I wouldn't want to be a Belgian riding the Home World Championships, though. Cycling being such a big sport over there, but let's hope they cope with the pressure. Marlon Russo will be back in action on the road race for Switzerland with Elise Chabi for company, whilst Germany have an informed Liana Lippert along with Lisa Brennauer.
And if you'd like an outsider, Arlena Sierra of Cuba. Now, I would love to see her right up battling for the medals.
That would be quite the story, wouldn't it? I mean, she's taken quite a few big wins over the years, but I will always remember Arlena Sierra as the rider that celebrated second place at the Trofeo Alfredo Binder, just because she was so pleased with second place, not because she thought that she'd won.
That was great, wasn't it? Now, just before we move on to the men's road race, a couple of riders to watch out for in the other events. Zoe Backstead will start as one of the big favourites in the junior women's time trial and road race. Her dad, Magnus, is commentating on both of them, and I dare say won't be able to do much commentary if she wins either, which is a distinct possibility.
It is. Can you imagine what it would be like to commentate on your daughter in a time trial, sat in the hot seat waiting for other riders to come through? Blimey, that really would be quite something, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And sticking with talented families, Thibaut Nace should be racing the under-23 road event, having just won that category at the European Championships. And you'd say this course probably suits him even better than the one in Italy. And I think the whole of Belgium will be throwing an even bigger party if he can pull it off at the World Championships.
Absolutely. I will definitely be watching the junior men's road race as well. I mean, given that pros are getting younger and younger, it wouldn't surprise me if the winner of the Junior World Championships wins the Tour de France next year. I mean, no, obviously, joking. But whoever does win it will almost undoubtedly be a big star in the very near future, won't they?
Almost undoubtedly, yes. All right, on to the elite men's event, which is the last of the week. With this, we have to start with the man who will have an awful lot of pressure on his shoulders, Wout van Aert. He's got to start as the big favourite, hasn't he?
Yeah, he obviously doesn't mind pressure. I think you've got to say, and he said as much recently when talking to the press. It looks like he'll be the sole Belgian leader, so that even Remco Evenepoel will be working for Wout van Aert.
I will believe that when I see it, Si, if I'm completely honest. But yes, he has every right to want to be the sole leader of the team, Wout van Aert. The course suits him, and he's at the top of his game right now, which isn't the same for everyone, and that includes his arch-rival, Mathieu van der Poel.
Yeah, so he had a long period without racing, or training in fact, after that crash at the Olympic mountain bike race. Despite that, when he did start racing again, he won.
Yeah, as only Mathieu van der Poel could.
Yeah.
He did that at the Antwerp Ports Epic, so not the biggest race in the world, but still, a win is a win.
And it was epic as well.
Well, it was quite epic, yes, and it does show that all hopes of him competing at the Worlds and Paris-Roubaix are not lost. Again, he's not quite confirmed his participation a week out from the race, but fingers crossed he's there, because he always makes a race exciting, doesn't he?
Yeah, I really hope he's on the start line and on good form too. Julien Alaphilippe will lead France as he looks to defend his title, but I'm finding it a little bit hard to to judge exactly where his form is right now. Van Aert was consistently beating him and everyone else at the Tour of Britain, and it just maybe feels like he's a couple of % off his best.
Or maybe it means he's timing his form perfectly. He'll be 100% at the World Championships. But yeah, I do know what you mean. I mean, he was unexpectedly beaten at the Bretagne Classic in a 2-up sprint with Benoit Cosnefroy, and he'll be his teammate incidentally at France for the World Championships. And I guess Cosnefroy is an outside bet in himself for the gold medal.
Yeah.
Rainbow bands.
It could now take a while to rattle through the other favourites, couldn't it? I mean, the nature of the course this year gives opportunities to lots of different riders, including 2019 world champion Mads Pedersen.
Yeah, and it'd be quite nice to see him get the rainbow bands back, wouldn't it? Because last year, he didn't get to wear them very much, did he?
He didn't.
A couple of races at the start of the season, then the rest of it pretty much got cancelled. Then the World Championships took place not long after it resumed, so it's very bad luck for him. You'd imagine he'll be hoping for some horrid weather conditions, just like we saw in Harrogate.
Yes, you would, yeah. Now, he is just a part of a strong Danish squad that will also include the Tour of Flanders winner, of course, Kasper Asgreen, as well as Magnus Kort, who hope he's got his Vuelta leg still, plus Michael Honoré and Michael Volgren, amongst others.
It's unbelievable how strong the Danish squad is and see pros these days. The Italians also field a very strong team, as you would expect. They'll be led by newly crowned European champion Sonny Colbrelli, who's been on stupendous form in the last few months.
Yeah.
My only worry is that he's been on top form slightly too long at this point, and so this might be one race too far.
Well, maybe, but if it's not, watch out, because this course should suit him down to the ground, shouldn't it? Matteo Trentin and Giacomo Nizzolo could be other options for Italy, and they'll have Gianni Moscon and Filippo Ganna, amongst others, to do the legwork. A lot of legwork.
Yes,
Filippo
they could
Ganna
do a
Gianni
lot
Moscon.
in the early stages, couldn't they? And now, sticking with strong teams, Slovenia. Roglic is riding the road race.
He's back from his honeymoon.
Well, he's not getting married twice in 1 week, Si. And he'll be joined by Tadej Pogacar and Matej Mohoric, amongst others.
Yeah, and I would say Mohoric could be their best candidate on this course.
Yeah, very true.
Team GB, meanwhile, seem to be having a bit of a change of the guard. It looks like Ethan Hayter and Tom Pidcock will be their protected riders. Pidcock's form has some question marks over it, doesn't it? But Hayter's doesn't. Luke Rowe, Ben Swift and Mark Cavendish will be the experienced riders in the team, but all three, look set for a supporting role.
They do on this occasion. Yeah, real change in the guard there. Australia, they will still be relying on Michael Matthews and hoping he can re-find his form, because he's not won a race in over a year at this point. Although we shouldn't potentially discount Caleb Ewan either. I know he's a sprinter, I know he doesn't like climbs, and he would prefer it slightly less hilly, but he's proven more than on one occasion in the past that he can get over those climbs when he really wants to, and he's on top form.
Yeah. Remember Milan San Remo this year?
I do remember that very well, yes.
Yeah, Spain they've had a tough year, haven't they, in terms of results at major men's races. Ivan Garcia Cortina looks to be their best bet, but I'm struggling to see him as a medal threat.
Me too.
Yeah, I could see Alexander Kristoff, though, doing that if he's on one of his good days.
True, he has one or two of them each year, doesn't he? So
he does.
If it coincides with the World Championships, he loves a very long and brutal race, doesn't he?
He does, indeed.
Rasmus Tiller could be an outside bet for Norway too, because he's a bit of a beast. But moving on, the Swiss will be looking at Mark Hershey, you'd have thought, although he hasn't really shown signs of the form we saw him on in the 2020 season. Stefan Kung is also strong on races like this and can't be counted out.
Other names to keep an eye out for include Gaviria of Colombia, Degenkolb and Pollitt for Germany, Kwiatkowski for Poland, Simmons for the USA, Stybar for the Czech Republic, and Pete Sagan.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned him just yet, have we? The only 3-time world champion on the start list. I'm finding it quite easy to overlook Peter Sagan as one of the favourites these days, and I'm not really sure why. I mean, he's certainly not the prolific winner that he was in years gone by, but he has still won 4 races this year, and 3 of those were in the World Tour, I think.
Yeah, he didn't look too good at the European Champs, did he? But then there was a hillier parcours.
It was,
but
yeah.
I would love to see a 4th Sagan victory.
Well, I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Yeah.
Is he your prediction?
No.
Oh, OK.
No, I didn't say that. I just said I'd like to see it.
Well, it is probably time now to get on to some predictions. We mentioned most of the favourites. So let's start with mine.
Why do you always get to go first?
Because before you even come down to the set, I always shotgun it. So I am going to go for Mathieu van der Poel to pull off a Mathieu van der Poel style miracle in the men's race, upsetting the home fans, and Lotta Kapecchi to upset the Dutch dominance in the women's.
OK, all right. I'm going to go for, well, my head says Wout van Aert, my heart says Wout van Aert, but I'm going to...
You're not going with either?
I'm not going to go for Wout van Aert. I don't know what I'm listening to,
it's
if it's not my head or my
pick,
heart.
Isn't it?
Sonny Colbrelli.
Yeah?
I think. Yeah, I think
he's got a great chance.
Yeah,
For some reason, I wouldn't see him as the most exciting winner. I don't know why.
Well,
but he would be a deserving winner after his year.
I think it's just because this year has been a little bit out of the ordinary for him, whereas, like, I love to see the big favourites win. But having said that, Demi Vollering is my pick for the women's.
Yeah, well, she has won some big races. That would be another changing of the guard if she won the women's event, wouldn't it? Right, well, we have been quite successful with our predictions this year, and I think that is in part down to the fact that we've got about 150 presenters. So let's hear from a few of them now on their thoughts for the wins.
Hi everyone, this is Toby from Germany. You want my prediction for the men's and women road race next week, so I go for Elisa Longo-Borghini and Wout van Aert.
Wout van Aert without a shadow of a doubt, barring calamity. For the women's road race, I'm going to go for Marta Bastianelli.
Hi guys, I think Wout van Aert will be the new world champion. Women is Annemiek van Vleuten.
Hi everyone, here Sebastián Aredo from GCN en Español, and my prediction for this World Championship is, for the men's race, good Van Aert. I think he's in a great shape right now. Women's, Marianne Vos, the boss. Good luck everyone with the predictions.
Right then, that is all for our big World Champs preview. It's now time to get racing. If you can join us on GCN Plus, make sure you do, because it promises to be a brilliant week.
It does, and a week of partying for me in Flanders. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up button just down below. Make sure you let us know your favourites for the elite road races so that you can pop back into the comments all smug if you get it right.
You know, I'm going to be tuning into GCN Plus just to see how ruined Lloydie looks in the morning.
Yeah, nah, I'll be all right.
All right, cheers and see you soon.